Ryan, is his name Ryan? Oh, Nick. Was the other guy's name Ryan?
Might have been. Nick and Lucy's on video. I don't know who's on audio.
Okay.
Unless Aisha.
You're ready, Nick? Everybody ready? Okay. Here we go. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for coming. In accordance with the requirements of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, PL 1975 announcement, I wish to announce that the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interests is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this act, the School District of the Chatham's Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof posted in the Board Administrative Offices, sent to the clerks of the Chatham Borough and Chatham Township, the Library of the Chathams, the Chatham Courier, the Daily Record, the Star Ledger, and TAP. Peter?
Mr. Del Sandro.
Here.
Ms. Kenny.
Here.
Mr. Ryan. Here. Mr. Smith. Ms. Weber.
Here.
Dr. Zhang.
Here.
And Ms. Chigarelli.
Here.
7 present and accounted for.
Excellent. Please join us, if you can, for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Do solemnly swear
Do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear true faith
and I will bear true faith
and allegiance to the same
and allegiance to the same,
and to the governments established in the United States and this state,
and to the governments established in the United States and this state,
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
so help me God.
so help me God.
And I
I, Mike Ryan,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I possess the qualifications prescribed by law
that I possess the qualifications prescribed by law
for the office of a member of the Board of Education,
for the office of a member of the Board of Education,
am not disqualified as a voter pursuant to RS 19:4-1,
and I am not disqualified as a voter pursuant to RS 19:4-1,
and that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform all the duties of that office
and justly perform all the duties of that office
to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability.
so help me God.
So help me God.
And congratulations, Mike.
Thank you.
Next, we have the open board position for the township. 2 township residents inquired about the open board position. The committee, consisting of Ms. Kenny, Ms. Ross, Dr. Yang, and Mr. Smith, met with the 2 residents that expressed interest in joining the board. As a result of the meetings, the committee recommends that Ms. Sally Allen be appointed to the Board of Education to complete the term vacated by Ms. Clark. Appointment of Ms. Sally Allen to fill the Board of Education position in the township vacated by Ms. Clark. You swear her in?
If somebody's going to make a motion, and we have.
Oh, we have to, I motion to appoint her.
I second.
To approve Ms. Sally Allen as board member for the township. Ms. Ross? Mr. Del Sandro?
Yes.
Ms. Kenny?
Yes.
Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
Ms. Weber?
Yes, as long as she doesn't hold it against us.
I can't help it with that one. Dr. Zhang?
Yes.
And Ms. Chigarelli?
Yes.
The motion passes. Congratulations, Ms. Allen. If you come up, we'll swear you in.
Okay, perfect.
Whenever you're ready, raise your right hand.
I am ready.
I
I, Sally Allen,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same
and to the governments established in the United States and this state
and to the governments established in the United States and this state
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
so help me God.
so help me God.
I
I, Sally Allen,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I possess the qualifications prescribed by law
that I possess the qualifications prescribed by law
for the office of a member of the Board of Education.
for the office of member of the Board of Education.
I am not disqualified as a voter pursuant to RS 19:4-1,
Am not disqualified as a voter pursuant to RS 19:4-1,
and that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform all the duties of that office
and that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform all the duties of that office
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations and welcome.
Excellent. Well, we just want to welcome Sally. We know she's been involved in many facets of the district before, and we thank you once again for stepping up and volunteering your time. You'll be a great addition to the board. We're looking forward to it. That's all I have for now. On to the administrative reports. Mike?
Thank you, Ms. Ciccarelli. I'll start just by mentioning that it's the winter time and it's quiet, but we do have a lot of exciting events taking place in the district. I'm not going to leave anything out, but we've got several athletic teams that are performing really well right now, and we've got county tournaments that they're competing in. We had our Lafayette production here about a week ago, sold out 2 nights, a giant hit from what everyone said. We did a Lunar New Year celebration, our Chinese teachers did on Friday night, which drew about 500 people into this auditorium. We've got our middle school production happening this coming weekend. We had Catwalk yesterday that Dr. Donahue attended, so we have all kinds of exciting things happening, and I hope that parents and others can make it out to school events as they're able. Also want to mention that you might remember on the first day of school with staff this year, we had a Holocaust survivor come and visit us and had a really lovely presentation and day with her. She resonated with many of our staff, and we have this week, one of our middle school teachers is bringing her back to meet with classes of students. We have several high school teachers who have engaged her, and we're going to have a kind of like a mini assembly program on Friday with her. And then she'll be back in March, and we'll have a parent evening with her in March that we will advertise in conjunction with the Chatham Ed Foundation as we get closer to the event. So I'm excited about all of those things. The other item for me is that we are going to amend the CHS calendar so that we can administer the state graduation, the high school graduation assessment that we have to administer. That's in March. That's at the end of the agenda under policy. And then we are required to give also a semi-annual HIB report just on number of investigations and findings. And I'm going to allow Dr. Sortino to do that and take any questions that you might have.
So this year so far, there's been 27 harassment, intimidation, and bullying investigations, 7 of which were found to be HIB, harassment, intimidation, bullying. And there were 13 preliminary determinations or principles determinations. That essentially is when situation is reported that if all the facts were to be true, it still would not meet the threshold of HIB. A principal is allowed to not do a full-blown HIB investigation, but rather call it a preliminary determination. There were 13 of those this year. So far, 27 investigations and 13 preliminary determinations.
And of course, we'll do our comprehensive report in June like we always do. But if anyone has any questions, you can fire away.
I have a question. Is that okay?
Yes. Ask away.
Ask away. Ann said I could ask away. The 27, the 13, is that in line with years past, or are you seeing an uptick, downtick? I mean, after COVID, we had mentioned, okay, the kids need a little adjustment, getting back socially. Are you seeing it a flat, rise, down, and are there different types of incidents that you're seeing? At one time, it was, it seems to vary in the subject matter. So can you maybe elaborate a little bit on what you're seeing?
I would say the data is pretty similar to last year's data as well, where there's been more than we've had in the past, and we've continued to see some student behavior that, hasn't been as potentially positive as we would like to see. So we're continuing our student programs with educating children on the appropriate ways to act, the harassment, intimidation, bullying law, and then we also have, if a student is found to complete an incident of, a racially motivated incident or a bias incident, they now have a mandated meeting with the student assistance counselor at CMS or CHS. They have 3 meetings, which is more of like a restorative practice, so that we know that the children that perhaps are partaking in that behavior won't repeat it.
How often are the students exposed to, what HIB is and what the law is, not the law, but, the policy? How often do we, I don't want to say train, but I know we do it in the beginning of school years, but do we do it periodically throughout the year?
The counselors are constantly talking with students about prosocial behaviors. There's a major training at the beginning of the year for every single student across the district, regardless of grade. And then the counselors continue throughout the year talking about the behaviors that we hope to see, how to be an upstander, et cetera.
But it's not school-wide, it's with the councils?
It depends. It could be in a counseling lesson, it could be in a classroom lesson, it could be in a grade level meeting, an assembly, et cetera. It's throughout the year.
Okay.
And then all students get a heavy dose during the week of respect, which is the first week of October.
Dr. Sortino, are you still seeing that, I know in the past we had seen it was kind of heavier at the middle school age versus some of the other schools. Is that kind of still the trend?
Yes, there have been 10 HIB investigations at CMS.
Okay,
That's the most.
Yeah, the most.
So 10 out of the 27 were at the middle school.
okay. And do you have all the resources that you need?
Yes,
Okay.
very much so, and they continue to work really closely with all the students on prosocial behaviors.
Good.
But typically, middle school, you're sort of testing boundaries and understanding where you are in the universe, and we like to make sure that the kids, learn as much as they can, both in prosocial behavior, but also, if they make a mistake, we want to do it before high school age, where it's really, matters a little bit more.
Right. Okay, perfect.
They don't call them the awkward years for nothing.
Exactly.
Middle school.
Sort of educate the parents?
Yes, so at all the back-to-school nights, the principals review what the harassment, intimidation, bullying law is. And I just presented at the Chatham Library as well, another HIB investigation where I had a small showing of parents that came as well to talk more in depth.
Emily, could you repeat the question?
Oh, yes. She had asked if the parents are trained on the harassment, intimidation, bullying law as well. So that's reflected in the code of conduct. The principals send out letters, and that's also reviewed at back-to-school nights in all the schools.
Okay, good.
I get
Perfect.
hearing aids.
Anybody have any other questions for Dr. Sortino? No? Dr. LaSousa? does
That's
that
it for
complete
me.
your- Okay, perfect. Moving on to Mr. DeQuilla.
Sure, very easy on the construction update. I just wanted to report that we are in process of doing the planning for the security vestibules and the 3 summer roof projects that will be completed over the June, July, and August. The schedule is that every project will be done before school starts.
Okay, perfect. Excellent, thank you so much. Moving on to student liaison report. Ahana?
Dr. L'Souza pretty much hit everything that's going on in the district right now. Like he said, winter's kind of a slow season, but just wanted to highlight one thing. We had a few physics students who we sent to the New Jersey Physics Olympics competitions, and they placed in several of the competitions at Bayonne High. And one team of Chatham students were the overall winners and won the state winning cup. So that is all from me.
Awesome. That's great. Thank you so much. Okay, moving on to committee reports for personnel. Ms. Weber?
Yes, great, thanks, Ann. We met January 10th on personnel, and we discussed the contract negotiations, which, if you recall, had been ongoing for the supervisors and principals. And there were still a few things that were being ironed out, and I think they're ironed out. I know they are. In fact, we're about to vote on it it's going to be A3, and that's, again, the contract for the supervisors and the building administrator groups. And we also talked about the paraprofessionals updates. If you recall, the town supported a additional tax levy to offer paraprofessionals health benefits. That would help us retain our paraprofessionals and also hopefully with recruiting. We are just about to finish the first tranche. It'll be broken up into 2 or 3 tranches. The first group was the paraprofessionals that were scheduled with the most number of hours, so it made sense to hit that group first. They'll be able to enroll, and because our school year ends June 30th, there'll be another open enrollment, and that would probably be the second tranche, and then a third to possibly do some cleanup after that. So that's good that we're able to get that underway as quickly as possible. And those are the highlights. Those are the big ticket items. Everything else you'll see on the agenda. But I did want to point out that A6 is the paraprofessional update, and A3 is the final contract negotiation that we're going to vote on.
Perfect. Thank you so much. For curriculum, Ms. Ross?
The curriculum committee also met on January 10th. We discussed several topics. The first one is highlighted in the agenda under C3, textbook purchases for AP classes at the high school. Just a little background there. New textbooks in AP classes need to be purchased or renewed every 10 years. So this is a policy of the College Board and a requirement for us to maintain our AP status within a given course. So 2 of the classes are due, and so it's AP Biology and AP Environmental Sciences, and the exact texts are listed in the curriculum. They were purchased, and they're going to be used by students in the fall. An update on the reconfiguration plans. So it's full steam ahead on several fronts. Go ahead, sorry.
Go ahead. No, you're good.
There were several K and K-2 site visits in January. That's personnel from our K-2 buildings, K-3 buildings, visiting other districts where they could see how K-2 buildings operate. Florham Park, Morris Plains, and Mountainside were visited, and there was just a chance to do a tour and for a Q&A to occur. And then, if you remember at the last meeting, Dr. L'Souza talked about the letter that went out to current second grade students to gauge interest on those that would be interested in having their third graders go to Lafayette next year. I think around the holidays, we had mentioned that the number of interested parties was at 40. We're happy to report that as of last week, that number is at 72, much closer to the original target of 80, which we were hoping. So that brings us a lot closer to the finish line of hoping to fulfill the reality of full-day kindergarten for the upcoming 2024 school year. And then finally, there are going to be some changes coming to the K through 5 report cards. The changes are really driven by changes in standards for both math and ELA. Not as much for math, but in ELA, there's going to be a bigger focus on foundational skills, particularly phonics. So as you may recall, we already have a pretty comprehensive phonics program here called Foundations. But our math and ELA supervisors are going to be working on the revisions this spring, and we will see a draft hopefully in May or June, and then there will be information sessions for parents in the fall to explain the changes. And that's it. And our next meeting is this Wednesday. So any questions, I'm happy to take them.
Any questions for Ms. Ross from anyone?
And 72 still accurate on the count?
Yeah, I was just going to mention, so we sent a confirmation letter out to those 72 and told them to respond by Wednesday, close of business, if they are confirming that their child will attend Lafayette, and we have 56 confirmations so far.
Okay.
So that's 3 sections, 3 solid sections, and we'll wait to see if any more trickle in over the next 48 hours or so.
Great.
Excellent. Okay, thank you. Dr. Zhang, are you able to report on finance? Thank you.
So for finance, we met on January 31st. We talked about the subscription bus fees for 2024-2025 school year. And it will be an increase from the current rate of $730 to $800 for 2024 and 2025. We also talked about Chatham baseball, Chatham High School field improvements. We also discussed the Chatham High School sport funding for 2024 and 2025, 2024 to 2025. And this funding discussion will continue as we prepare the budget. We also talked about the ROC grant funding and capital spending. And we also discussed the tuition for 4-day kindergarten 2024-2025. We also discussed the budget for 2024-2025. That's it.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Any questions for Dr. Zhang? No? Okay, moving on to policy and planning. Mr. Ryan?
I was not sworn in when this meeting happened, so I chose not to attend that meeting. So I'm going to ask Chris if he can give the liaison.
Mr. Del Sandro?
No sweat. We met on January 31st, last Wednesday. We discussed and agreed facility use fees for coaches running clinics and such outside of their sport. Also, I thought I was loud enough, just, you know how I go. Dr. Lissa, policy conversion's been updated as well. You can go on a website for all the new policies, New Jersey School Boards Association. We merged those with whatever we had from Strauss Esme and smoothed it all out. And for all you hardcore policy readers, you can go out and get some right there on the website. It's there for you to read. Lastly, we discussed varsity letters and how they are awarded by coaches, basically, and your attendance for certain, how much you participate in the sport, basically. So is that on the website as well, Mike?
Not yet, not until we finalize
When you
any
finalize it,
changes. Yep.
So you'll see how your son or daughter can attain a varsity letter, or how not to attain a varsity letter when they're playing a sport, or what you think they might be allowed it or awarded or whatnot. So it'll be there eventually when it's updated. So, and that was that.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Any liaison reports? Ms. Weber for the borough?
Yes, for the borough. Thank you, Ann. Just to give you all a heads up, Justin Strickland is the borough liaison to the Board of Education, and he has requested, and certainly we're amiable to, he would like a monthly cadence, so we met with him already. Dr. Lasuso met with him last week, and just to talk about any issues where there might be crossover. And while there's not a tremendous a lot of crossover, because everybody needs to stay in their own lane, where there are crossover, certainly the safety of our students, traffic patterns around the school, and also any housing development, that might arise. I think everybody knows the housing development that's in flux, but anything that might be coming down the pike. We all know they have a third round of affordable housing coming up. There's nothing definitive on the paper yet. I know there's a lot of grumblings about River Road in the borough, but a lot of that's more overlays than it is specific plans. But if land is privately owned, they can privately sell it to a private developer. What the borough can do to help the residents is maybe shape how that gets developed by means of the master plan. So we're just going to keep up this cadence. Maybe the township would want to do the same. Oh, Mr. Smith is not here, but maybe we can get into a routine as well with this township, just to keep open dialogues of conversation going where it impacts both the school district and the municipality.
Yeah, sounds like a good idea for sure.
Since the Ivy's open, has anyone dropped into school yet?
Say again?
Has anyone dropped into school yet?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay, just wondering. The Ivy's open. They're putting people in that place over there on,
Oh, the Ivies.
the Ivies is
I need
called.
hearing aids.
I don't know what
You
their
do need
capacity
hearing
is.
aids. The Ivies.
As of right now, as far as how many
December
units are
1st, they were at
rented.
10% when I toured it,
Right,
but that's a couple months old.
yeah.
There you
They're
go.
beautiful.
I can try and get an update on that too, to find out what their capacity is, just to give us an idea of, what we think might be coming down the pike too.
Well, there's 252 units, 37 are affordable housing.
Right,
Some are studios, some are 2 bedrooms.
yeah,
You know.
okay. Sounds good. Any other liaison reports? Ms. Ross for CEF?
For CEF, CEF recently joined the somewhat newly formed Chatham Area Chamber of Commerce as a nonprofit partner, so they're going to explore some partnership opportunities with local businesses that'll also help support the schools. And then I mentioned last time, but as a reminder, CEF is going to hold its 30th anniversary celebration. April 27th is the date, from 7 to 10 p.m. at the Park Avenue Club, with a silent auction, dancing, and a reception. So more info is going to be coming out on that after winter break. Thanks.
Awesome. Yeah, that sounds like it's going to be a great event.
It's going to be fun.
Okay, I think that's it for the liaison reports. Moving on to minutes. You're moving minutes for the December 11th meeting and January 8th meeting, correct?
Yes, and if we could do them separately, since the list of absentees
Okay.
changes.
So December 11th, who is,
This December 11th, just Dr. Zhang has to abstain.
okay.
Oh, I was waiting for a second.
Second.
Oh, thank you. I didn't hear it, I'm sorry. The December 11th regular and executive session minutes. Ms. Ross?
Yes.
Ms. Allen?
Abstain.
Mr. Del Sandro?
Yes.
Ms. Kenny?
Yes.
Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
Ms. Weber?
Yes.
Dr. Zhang?
Abstain.
And Ms. Chigarelli?
Yes.
Pass 502. No. 503, sorry. 602, sorry.
You sure?
Yep.
You want to
I
calculate?
can't read my own, yeah, I was using my fingers.
Okay, so I'd like to motion for the January 8th, 2024 public and executive session minutes.
Second.
And the abstentions will be Mr. Del Sandro, Ms. Kenny, and Mr. Ryan.
Okay.
Ms. Ross?
Yes.
Ms. Allen?
Abstain.
Mr. Del Sandro?
Abstain.
Ms. Kenny?
Abstain.
Mr. Ryan?
Abstain?
Ms. Weber?
Yes.
Dr. Zhang?
Yes.
And Ms. Chigarelli?
Yes.
Passes 404.
Okay, perfect. Okay. Moving on, we have our first public commentary session. Notice of public comment. Hearings of the citizens during the public commentary section of the agenda is an opportunity for any member of the public to be heard about issues which are or are not topics scheduled for the current meeting. To help facilitate an orderly meeting and to permit all to be heard, speakers will be asked to limit their comments to a reasonable length of time. If you could, when you come up, just sign in and just state your name, please.
Hi, good evening. My name is James Hitchings. I'm a design and technology teacher at the middle school and a representative of Chatham Education Association.
And I'm Marianne Molesky. I'm also a teacher at Chatham Middle School. I teach 8th grade civics and a member of the association.
Thank you for your time this evening. We're here to represent the Chatham Education Association and Chatham Middle School. The association continues to use New Jersey Education Association Pride and FAST grants to provide meaningful and fun events to the community. The association received a FAST grant to support the world language teachers at the annual Lunar New Year celebration that happened in February. And we also have a Pride grant for the upcoming Spring Musical Senior Citizens Dinner coming up in March. We'd like to say a big thank you to CHS teacher Candy Hull for all of her hard work leading the Pride and FAST committee for that.
We wanted to congratulate Lafayette students on their successful production of The Little Mermaid, and thank all the educators who assisted and coached the students. As Dr. LaSusa mentioned, this was a sold-out show both nights, which is incredibly impressive. Coming up this week, CMS will be featuring Roald Dahl's Matilda Jr. Opening night is this Thursday, February 8th at 6 p.m., and then there's also going to be shows Friday and Saturday at 7 p.m. This production is especially near and dear to James and I's heart, as we are both teachers who work on this. I'm the production manager and co-choreographer, and he is the set builder and sound director. We also wanted to give a shout out and thank you to our tireless director, Jason Stiles, music director, Christy Spriggs, and the lighting and costume designer, Gina Priano-Kaiser, for all of their hard work and dedication to this. And really thank you so much to all the CMS teachers and admin who are volunteering as chaperones. We're excited for an amazing show and hope that many of the board and the community is able to join us.
In the lunchrooms at CMS, students have been giving back to their community with a donation box for unopened and unused snacks that they're going to the Chatham United Methodist Church food pantry. So they have a collection area that's set up, and the students are having that donation taken to the food pantry. We'd also like to have a shout out to the CMS Junior Model UN. They have their conference at Drew University coming up in this Friday, and they've been working very hard under the supervision of teacher Renee Marshall, so we say good luck to those students.
And just a last few couple of things. At CMS, we had a math counts meet this past weekend, and also, as Dr. LaSusa mentioned, Lisa Calamari is having Maud Dom come back to speak with several sixth grade students, which is a really exciting opportunity. CEA members have been hard at work on the transition planning team, collecting ideas and coming up with some scheduling, transition plans, things of that nature, both between CMS and Lafayette. So it's been really exciting to get to work together already, and we're looking forward to continuing an inclusive and productive transition process. And last but not least, we would like to thank the maintainers and custodians for all their hard work, especially in this winter season as temperatures drop. They are hard at work clearing snow, salting parking lots and pathways, and making sure that our HVAC systems are working properly, along with many other tasks. Our buildings would not be able to work without them, so we are forever grateful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Best of luck to you guys with the production this weekend. I'm sure it's going to be amazing. Mm-hmm.
Libby Hilton Rath, Chatham Borough. And I would first like to thank you for, at the last meeting, allowing Mr. Tequila and Dr. LaSusa to answer my questions from the podium during the first public comment when I asked my questions, as opposed to waiting till the end. I just found it much more constructive. And as I brought up to the board before, I think it's a better format, and the time can be limited. I think that it's within the board president's discretion to decide the format, like whether it's a back and forth at the podium or whether we ask questions and sit down. Typically, I would say it's just usually me and Mr. Heap over here, and teachers. So I would just like for you to consider that. And I would kind of like to know if you would consider that before I go on with my comments, because
I don't think that we'll do a back and forth, but I will certainly, we'll do our best to answer any of the questions at the end of the public session. Like you said, we don't seem to have a ton of people that are going to be up here asking, giving public comments, but certainly I will jot them down and we will try to get any answers that we can to you this evening.
Okay, all right, because I cut my comments down because I wasn't sure if I could have a back and forth commentary. So, Ms. Ross, at last month's meeting, I asked about getting a copy of the curriculum presentation from Dr. Mayer. I emailed twice via the school district website, and once 2 days after the meeting and then 2 weeks later. I don't know if you got it. I don't know if you can answer that again, and this goes back to my question. Can I ask the question and expect an answer, or do I have to sit down again?
Well, it may take her a few minutes, so if you want it.
I can't hear you. I'm sorry. Is your mic on?
I did not get it in my inbox, but maybe it went to spam. Hold on. I'll let you know. Okay, keep going.
Okay, so you didn't...
It may take her a couple minutes to find it, so if you want to continue, then...
That's fine,
Yeah.
okay. So if you didn't get it, then might be something wrong with the website link, and just wanted to let you know.
Thank you.
Then my couple other questions really are following up on last month's meeting. Mr. Tequila, I asked where you advertised the open board position, and you had said that you couldn't recall because it was last year, so I'm wondering if you have an answer for that tonight. Dr. L'Souza, at last month's meeting, I asked about how the district would keep track of the increased taxes for security costs and the ingress and egress to the building, and you said you weren't going to comment. I'm wondering if you have any comments tonight. And at the last meeting, I also asked about the policy committee having members of the public attend their meetings. Mr. Ryan wasn't here. He's here tonight. Do you have any response to my question? I can ask the question again if you haven't watched the video. And the last question is, at least for this section, were actual interviews of each of the two candidates for the open board position performed by the committee? And if so, can you tell us what those dates were and who the other candidate was? Thank you. I'm trying to limit my comments to 3 minutes.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Hilsenrath.
Good evening to all. Bill Heap. A slow winter night. Well, not really. We have a new board member. Congratulations, Ms. Allen. I wish you the best of luck. And we have a new student rep. Nothing like getting some on-the-ground intel from a student reporter. I heard you mention that the Chatham Education Foundation is celebrating their 30th anniversary. I'm going to put on my JC hat and congratulate them. And for those of you with some institutional memory, you might recall a fellow by the name of Rich Ford, who was not only a JC, but a member of the school board. He requested a grant from us, 94, 95, and that went to the legal expenses for starting the Education Foundation. So the JCs were, I guess you might say, a founding sponsor. And I congratulate them on 30 years, and here's to 30 more. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Heap. Okay, no more public comments. So for Ms. Hilsenrath's questions, the curriculum presentation.
Yep. So I did not get it, and it is not in my spam, but I'm going to read you my email address just to make sure that you have it correctly, or I'm sure it's listed up there correctly, but it's Susan_Ross at chatham-newjersey.org. So if you'd like to resend it to me, I'll happily forward you that presentation, Libby. Thanks. Sure, it's Susan_, not dash, _Ross at chatham-newjersey.org.
Yeah,
NJ.
chatham-nj.org.
Sorry. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Mr. Tequila, do you want to answer the questions on the open board position and the interviews?
The open board position was advertised on the district website as per the policy, the district policy. There were 2 candidates interviewed, and they were interviewed on Tuesday, the Tuesday that the district was closed for the snow day. I'll get you the date in 1 second. January 16th. And in fairness to the candidate was not selected, I will not release her name.
Okay. Yeah. It was advertised on the district website, correct?
Only advertised on the district website. Is that the question? I can't hear you. Correct. I think Peter said that last time.
Correct. As per the district policy, it needs to be posted. It was posted on the website. It was announced at the December meeting when Ms. Clark resigned, and the district followed its procedure and policy.
As per the NJSBA, we are not required.
As stated, the district followed its approved policy and procedure. We followed the procedures. It is not stated in the NJSA how it has to be advertised. We advertised it on the website.
Mr. Ryan, did you happen to hear the policy question that Ms.
I
Hilsmuth
didn't
had?
hear the question. I know I watched the video the night of the last meeting. I don't remember exactly what it was, something about a member of the public participating in a committee meeting, but if Ms. Hilsenrath, if you could ask me that question at the second public commentary period, the actual question that you had, in this commentary, you summarized what you asked before, so if you could just ask that question, I can answer it at the end of the
Okay,
meeting.
perfect.
If that's appropriate.
Absolutely.
Ann.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right, well, we're going to close this public comment section and move on to our regular agenda. If it appears that we go through the agenda quite quickly, we receive it on Friday, and it is also posted to the district website on Friday, so we have some time to look it over. So we're all pretty in tune with it. So as far as personnel, Ms. Weber?
Thanks, Nick. I'd like to move personnel items A1 through A17 on the regular agenda, and there are some amendments and some additions. So 4, 5, 6, and 10 have some slight updates, and 18 and 19 are additions.
I'll second that.
And again, A3 is the collective bargaining agreement, and A6 is the paraprofessional item that we spoke about earlier.
Any other questions for Ms. Weber?
Con-
Go ahead.
Personnel on a regular agenda, A14. Coach Patrick Clark is identified as assistant coach. It should be head coach.
I can't hear on a good day.
I know.
Oh, that's okay. Just one correction on the regular agenda, A14, Coach Patrick Clark is identified as assistant coach. It should be head coach.
Patrick Clark. Okay, perfect. Boys track, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
And congratulations to the 2 teachers who are retiring. Brian Conti's long-standing teacher here, touched thousands of kids in this room we're sitting in. And Lucianne Horton's been one of our German teachers at both the middle school and the high school for the past number of years. So congratulations to them.
Yes, congratulations to both. We wish them well, and thank you for their time in our district. Any other questions, comments? Mr. DeQuilla?
Sure. Agenda items A1 through 17, addendum items 4, 5, 6, 10, 18, and 19, and A14 as corrected. Ms. Ross?
Yes.
Ms. Allen?
Abstain.
Mr. Del Sandro?
Yes.
Ms. Kenny?
Yes.
Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
Ms. Weber?
Yes.
Dr. Zhang?
Yes.
And Ms. Ciccarelli?
Yes.
Agenda items pass 602.
Excellent, thank you.
702.
Thank you so much.
701.
Finance and Facilities, Dr. Zhang?
I would like to move item B1 to 10, B10. Second.
Second.
Perfect. Any questions or comments for Dr. Zhang? Okay, great. Mr. DeQuilla?
Sure. Agenda items B1 through B10. Ms. Ross?
Yes.
Ms. Allen?
Abstain.
Mr. Del Sandro?
Yes.
Ms. Kenny?
Yes.
Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
Ms. Weber?
Yes.
Dr. Zhang?
Yes.
And Ms. Chigarelli?
Yes.
Agenda items passed 701.
Okay, perfect. Curriculum?
Yep.
Ms. Ross?
Sure. I'd like to move agenda items C1 through C4 on the regular agenda.
Second.
Mike, or Dr. Sorrentino, item number 4, is that the proficiency exam for graduating students? 4 more days of testing?
Yes,
And this is for?
high school graduation.
Right, is it just the juniors that are taking it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And is this test going to be around for more than a year, or hard to tell?
Unknown.
You know,
This is the third year we've had to give it. First year was basically
Well, if you could continue
a
bringing this
pilot.
up in Trenton and with your cohorts, that, you know, how much time the students lose testing, and, you know, they're concerned about, you know, learning loss, but yet they have no trouble throwing on tests, whether they're effective or useful or not. And again, if the students don't particularly do well on this particular test, then they have some other opportunities to then meet a graduation requirement.
They have an alternative pathway.
Okay. Just 4 more days of lost time.
Correct. Any other questions? Mr. DeQuilla?
Sure. Agenda items C1 through C4. Ms. Ross?
Yes.
Ms. Allen?
Abstain.
Mr. Del Sandro?
Yes.
Ms. Kenny?
Yes.
Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
Ms. Weber?
Yes.
Dr. Zhang?
Yes.
And Ms. Chigarelli?
Yes.
Agenda items passed 701.
Okay, perfect. Looks like nothing for policy. So moving on to board business. Anybody have anything for board business?
Is there any way to turn heat on during these meetings?
Yes, can we look into that heat for the meetings?
I'm freezing, I forgot my coat. There's a
Apparently
fan-
it came on,
There's
but
like a fan right above my head.
I know it's
My head
freezing.
is freezing.
Anybody else? Any other board business?
The only potential board business I have, and I thank Mr. Von Hagel for reminding me, but depending on the CHS play and the budget, and if there's a conflict with the budget calendar, since the state hasn't released it, one of the March meetings may need to be moved to the middle school.
Okay.
But we'll make sure the appropriate announcement goes out.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Anything else? Dr. LaSusa? No? Okay, great. We now have our second opportunity for public commentary. Yes.
Excuse me, Libby Hills and Rath, Chatham Borough.
Ms. Hilsenrath, did you just mind moving the mic down a little bit if you can?
Sure, yeah.
Or just
Or just
take
removing
it, hold it. Sorry, it's difficult to hear.
Yeah. Is that better?
Yes, that's better. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, appreciate that.
Sure. So I'll ask Mr. Ryan's question second, but Dr. LaSusa, I don't think I heard an answer to I know I ran through them quickly, but at the last month's meeting, how we're going to keep track of security costs and the entryway to the auditorium that was open at the time. Last meeting you said, I'm not going to comment. So I wonder if you have any comments.
I'll answer you when you're done with your public comment.
Okay. Mr. Ryan, my committee question was, I think, for our committees, the public is not allowed to attend, they're closed, but a member of the public attended, Matt Gilfillan attended the policy committee meeting about the costs, I think, of using fields. You had spoken about it a couple of months ago. And I'm wondering if, typically, from what I understand, the policy committee or any committee can invite someone to attend if they're going to add to the substance of the meeting. But from what I understand, what you said was he came to ask about the costs, if the costs could be changed for use of fields. So I just want to clarify if a member of the public can request to come to a committee meeting or if they need to be invited. As far as I understand it, the committee has to invite them. But from what happened at 2 meetings ago, I think in December, he attended and asked his questions, which typically should be done in this format. So that was my question.
I can answer that when you're done. Are you finished with all your questions?
I think so. Oh, no, I do have one other item on the agenda. We're spending, I think it's around $4,300 for a behaviorist training for nonviolent critical intervention. I don't have the whole, well, no, I do. It's page, oh, here it is. A behaviorist attending the CPI nonviolent crisis intervention training for $4,375. I've looked at these agendas, as you guys know, and that's a rather large amount for training. And I'm kind of wondering, and other parents might be, who have kids in the schools, what kind of nonviolent crisis interventions are we dealing with where we have to send a behaviorist to a training that's this large of an amount? What sort of crisis intervention is going on in schools that we have to send a behaviorist to for that amount of money? I mean, if I had kids in the school still, I would wonder what sort of crises were going on. Thank you.
Dr. LaSusa, you want to answer the first question?
Yeah, sure. The first question, when I responded last meeting that I wasn't going to comment on safety and security posture of the district, was in relation to the comment that Ms. Hilsenrath made about surveilling the entrances of our schools and watching children enter school. And I believe she said she was taking photographs of kids coming in and out of school. So I'm not going to comment, just like when she requested our district safety and security plan, that's a confidential document. I'm not going to comment on the safety and security of the school district and its schools. With respect to tracking expenses, that's obviously a business office function, but we've had this question, or a similar one at least, many times in the past about typically during budget season, if we're going to include something in our budget, and let's say it takes the tax, and let's say it falls within a 2.3% tax levy increase, where is that in the, where is the line for that in the operating budget moving forward? And the reality is that we don't have 80,000 lines within our budget. Mr. D'Aquila can correct me here, but if we identify expenditures that we think are important and we raise the funds through the operating budget, in this case, we had separate budget proposals that increased the operating budget, then there's not one specific line for everything that we identify as an expenditure. So it would be up to the business office to track the expenses For example, if we're talking big picture, one of the separate proposals had to do with health insurance and health plans for paraprofessional staff. We have a monthly bill that is sent out to Aetna, right, that we have to pay. We track our health insurance costs. We get a notification from our broker on an annual basis about what the percentage increase will be on the health insurance costs, and then we continue to pay that bill. So any of the expenditures that we have in the budget, whether it has to do with construction costs around security vestibules, whether it has to do with what we're paying for behaviorists who are intervening when kids are displaying violent or nonviolent behavior, all of that is wrapped into the operating budget, and the business office tracks those expenses on an ongoing basis. I'll turn it to Dr. Sortino to talk specifically about CPI and restraint and why it's important that we have our professionals appropriately trained in restraint when students exhibit behaviors that are concerning.
So we have 2 district behaviorists, both of whom we would like to have training with the Crisis Prevention Institute. That is an organization that ensures that when we are intervening with students that are demonstrating violent and or nonviolent crisis type behavior, that they are safe at all times, both the students that are in crisis, the other students around them, and the staff members that are in the classroom. Ultimately, that's our first and foremost priority for all children. The Crisis Prevention Institute teaches our behaviorists how to make sure that everyone's safe and how to maintain a safe and stable environment for all children, as we are required to educate them all. We've talked in the past about why our mental health staff and behaviorist staffing has increased. Students are continuing to demonstrate some challenging behaviors that we're working through as a district. It's our responsibility to educate all children in their least restrictive environment, and the Crisis Prevention Institute training helps us maintain children in their least restrictive environment. It's, very expensive training, but it's very comprehensive, and in turn, it prepares staff to create safe and stable environments for our children.
Thank you, Dr. Sortino. Mr. Ryan?
Okay, so generally speaking, policy committee meetings are not open to the public. However, the chair of those committees has discretion on certain things. So the sequence of events here was that Mr. D'Aquila was getting information and requests from members of the public, including Matt Gilfillan, about different ways we might want to think about approaching facilities fees for smaller type of sporting events. Mr. D'Aquila contacted me about the issue, and I asked to put it on the agenda for the committee meeting. He informed me that Mr. Gilfillan offered to come to the meeting if it was appropriate, and I thought it was appropriate, so we extended the invitation to him to do that, to come to the meeting and talk about, and the reason why I thought it was appropriate was because, as you know, Mr. D'Aquila was the Finance Committee Chairman of the Board of Education for a long time, and his expertise in the way those types of fees were handled in the past was relevant to an agenda item at the committee meeting. So that's why he was invited to attend the meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Ryan.
Does that make sense? Okay.
Ms. Weber? Nick, could you turn her on?
That's on now? Oh, very good. I just wanted to comment or add to Dr. LaSousa's on the budgeting and how we keep track of line items. Mrs. Hildenrath, while I appreciate your watchdoggedness over behavioral things and security things, I find it very disingenuous that you never ask about how much you're spending on the lawsuit, which is north of $100,000 taken straight out of everybody's pocket, and the insurance companies north of $1 million, closer to $2 million, which will also come back. So every time you nitpick on therapists and behaviorals and mental health and security, you never bring up how much you're spending on the lawsuit. So every time you bring this up and how are we going to keep an eye on that, And I get asked all the time from residents, can you tell us again, every meeting, how much you're spending on the lawsuit? You know, she's constantly asking about therapists, but we're not talking about the lawsuit. I don't want to talk about it every day because we're already in our 4th round of litigation that only you are the only person on this planet that can stop that litigation. So every time you bring up that we're spending $1 on therapists, we're going to have to keep reminding you, well, here's a thought. If you'd like to save resident money, and it just came to me, drop the lawsuit. So again, I find it disingenuous, or at the very least, extremely insincere. And I do trust Dr. Sorrentino and her professionals, and I implore them, please, continue to get the resources you need, because the alternative to have a kid in the hospital commit suicide or worse is not acceptable. So if you need additional resources, please bring them up.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments, questions? Okay, that will close our public comments section. We do have an executive session. Action will not be taken. That's it. Thank you, everyone, for coming.
I do have a